Welcome on in, everybody. It's another day of beautiful podcast life, and of course you are watching. Count us down, Nathan.
Three, two, one. Common
Common
language
language
in
in the
the morning.
morning.
We hit it.
So good. Every time I can't. Anyway, perfect. That's what you're watching today. It is Common Language Podcast in the morning. It's early as all heck, and we're here to talk to you about the very, very eventful weekend that recently happened in Flesh and Blood, being the calling and the showdown at the world premiere. We had a lot of things, and this, of course, more things happened at the world premiere, right? Obviously, it was the world premiere of Compendium of Wraith. All the new cards finally being spoiled. Finding out that all those Marvel Young Heroes are in the set somewhere that weren't previously in Marvel Young
Do
Hero.
we have a full list of? Is it all the
Yeah,
previous ones, or do
uh,
we have? Because there was a couple in there. Like I saw somebody posted a list, and there's still been a couple
yeah. I think there's
that
probably
have
a
come out.
few missing. I haven't done like a deep dive in it. I just know that a lot of them did get it. Like, Dash got one, Kano got one, Oldham got one, Lexi got one. Like, a lot of
Wait,
heroes.
oh, they're all up on February.
Yeah, they should be all up on Fabry. They're also in the card vault, also on
Mhm.
Fab's website. So those are there. But it was a very eventful weekend. We also found out the stuff about tournament packs, which we can just kind of gloss over a little bit. Marvel cards to put inside your main deck.
Yeah, those are cool.
Crazy pretty. I mean, we have an idea. Currently, it looks like there's a card printed pretty much for each class. Cards like Shred, Infecting Shot, Mauvrin Skies, Staunch Response, Warrior's Valor. A lot of really cool cards that got a printing in Marvel,
Yep.
and it's in all colors. So it's not just reds or just blues. It's all colors you're able to find in these tournament packs, which you will get by going to any of the tier 2 or higher events and playing in, I guess technically only Battlegrounds, a new thing, and then
Mhm.
tier 3 and tier 4 events as participation prize for those things too.
Yep.
And to quickly go over Battlegrounds, also, Battlegrounds are just a new tournament thing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on a my own thing whenever I make a video
Did they
about it.
release an article or something?
They
Because I
did.
haven't.
They did.
Okay,
They
because I
did
haven't
release
read
an
it.
article. It's
All right.
very, very interesting. I have
Basically just like a store championship, right?
not really. It's kind of like a PQ plus. This is kind of the thing
Mhm.
that's replacing almost like a PQ plus in a way. Not Pro Quests in general, but just specifically these PQ plus, because you can win a PTI, you win a gold
Mhm.
foil, the whole thing, right? But you also get tournament packs for entry, which is pretty
Nice.
cool. Just participation prize. So that's a way for you to get them locally. We have a rumor, and of course, this is just a rumor, so please do not take this to heart if anybody is listening and thinking that this is law. Um, there's a rumor that one of our stores in Colorado actually got one, which is cool.
Mm.
Which is going to be super cool to see. But also, we've seen that a few other stores have gotten it, such as MinMax and Green Tree Sports Cards got one as well.
Mhm.
So pretty big stuff there. But apparently, these are really limited, like really,
Oh,
really limited. Apparently, there's only 5 in the entirety of North America,
yeah. So I'm gonna get one over
which
here.
is,
They love to ignore the Gulf Coast.
yeah, I mean, I don't, it is going to be, if it really is only going to be 5, when we post the one for Colorado out here, everybody's
Yeah,
got to
it's
make their way
you
out.
gotta
It's going to
you gotta
be
sign up.
it's going to be big. So I'm very excited to see that being the case. And who knows, maybe more stories will be added on as the time goes on, because I'm sure it's not just going to be like all right, we're only doing this for like 2 months out of the year and then that's it. So I'm sure there will be more opportunity to have those
Mhm.
happen. But to the main topic, really. But well, you know what? Before we're glossing over a whole bunch of shit. Nathan, did you do anything in Flesh and Blood today or this week?
I mean,
Last week?
we just did a 4-person heavy hitters draft, and then played some UPF with the deck. Always fun. We had a uh, the line came out in full force towards the end of the game, took out a
Yeah.
couple people. So
I'm telling you,
always fun.
that thing is
Always
always the
fun.
best hero to play. Is that lion? You just like, oh my god, took out
I
everybody.
did take it. I did end up winning. So I think that was my first win that we've done. So it was fun. I
There you go.
played a I did a Olympia wager,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and I just did um going 7 into 7 is really fun. Oh, that a couple times, but yeah,
The power.
uh, it came down to me versus the brute, uh, and they basically decked themselves because they were discarding so many cards.
Yeah.
So,
That's how it
typical
is.
fashion.
That's how it is.
So fun.
Yo, what's up, John? How you doing, man? Welcome on in. Welcome on in, Jonathan Bauer. Pleasure to
But
see you.
other than that, I watched a lot of Olympics and watched Super Bowl.
That's right.
And
So there's a lot of sports
uh,
things that happened this weekend.
yes, so
I
many Olympics. I've been watching Olympics nonstop, and
my
Super
God.
Bowl was not exciting. The Bad Bunny halftime show was probably one of the I would say it's one of the coolest halftime shows I've seen because it
Yeah.
wasn't just like a stage. It was like it was a full on. Yeah,
I have to watch it.
it was so
Apparently
cool.
it is quite good. So I'm gonna have to give it a look. I
Yes.
didn't do anything with the Super Bowl. I didn't do anything with the Olympics. I literally the world premiere was my Super Bowl, and that's what I had spent all weekend doing. Um, it was, I mean, God, I was just so busy sitting here in my room in this office, just like, okay, let's. What are we
So
gonna
the
what are we
Super
gonna do about
Bowl
this?
The Super Bowl, I don't really care. Like, honestly, I don't really care much about football really anymore. But last year I started this kind of quest, and this year I've kind of continued it. Where on Football Sunday, I go I make bar food, and I've been trying to perfect some stuff. So like we made pretzel bites, we made
Ooh, okay,
hamburgers, we did some cauliflower bites that you
nice.
put it in buffalo sauce.
Yeah,
Um, so for me, it's more about like the fun part of doing all that stuff
I think a
than
lot of
the
people like
actual
it for the
Super
food,
Bowl.
like more than just the football. Like my girlfriend went to a Super Bowl party on Sunday, and she does not care about football. But she went over there, and there was a bunch of free food, and she played some Magic with her friends, and she had a good time. So definitely was not there for football, but football was the reason to get people together. And
Also, the commercials there's several good
were there some
commercials
good
there.
ones? All
So,
right, I got to check those out
yeah,
too.
yeah, you gotta look up like top 10. I'm sure there's some articles.
Yeah,
They're very funny.
I am sure I'm gonna get blasted with those sometime today, in which we're gonna have so many people referencing them at our stand-up meeting today at work that it's gonna be like, okay, I guess I gotta be in the know. So,
Yep.
but yeah, well, cool. There you go. It's a pretty eventful weekend for a lot of people. I know that, of course, kind of the main thing we wanted to talk about today on the podcast, of course, is that in the world premiere, we kind of got a pretty good idea about what we're looking at for the meta of season 1 of Silver Age.
So I think I want to say a couple things, and I want to ask you a couple questions.
Of course, of course.
So I think unsurprising to us, and maybe surprising to a lot of people, was Decimator Great Axe coming out in full force.
Yep.
I know you've been on that list for a while. I've seen how powerful it was. I was expecting it to make a splash. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I was expecting it to be 3 of the top 8. That I was not expecting. But
Yep.
I was expecting 1 or 2 to kind of eke in.
Yeah.
So I think from that standpoint, I just want to say, like, hey, we weren't surprised. I do want to make a statement of all of the Decimators are now sold out, and you can't get one for less than $15 off a TCG player.
That is
Just
correct.
FYI.
That is correct.
Um,
That is
I
correct.
saw a handful yesterday, and I was like, or Sunday, and I was like, oh, they're like 40 cents. Cool. Then talking with people last night, they're like, "Do you have extra Decimators?" I was like, "No, I literally have one from when the set came out," and they're like, "Oh, they're $15 right now."
Uh-huh.
It's like,
It's
oh my god, I'm sure it'll drop. Don't buy it right
it
now.
absolutely will. For I see one on here now for, well, somebody out here is just trying to make sure that they're changing the market, but there's one listed on here for $6 right now. But it's $6, and the next one under it is $15.
Yeah.
To be fair, right, at that point you probably just buy the cold foil. It's like $25. But let me tell you,
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of like the market swings you could see with Flesh and Blood. Is that Decimator Great Axe was on nobody's radar. It's been a legal card to play in CC for forever, and it's been a legal card for you to play in Project Blue and Silver Age Season 0 forever. And now 3 of them get to top 8 of the Silver Age calling, spikes up in price. Like, everybody buys them out. It's immediately like, this is something people are going to want because they're going to want to play the best deck.
On Sunday, I looked at it. There's literally only 4 in the market.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Like,
I'm going to just take a quick second. You and me, we've been collecting for a while because of Clash. Like I've always been collecting weapons and equipments, commons and rares.
Yep.
I try to get them in higher rarity. Like that's always been a thing where I like to get them in foils and things like that. For everybody that is new into Silver Age and all that, start collecting that stuff now. So if you see weapons that are dirt cheap and they're a cold foil, grab it. You never know when it might go up, and then you go, hey, I have this, I can use it. Or if you don't want to grab it in the highest rarity, just get the basic. Like, there is a lot of rare, still a lot of rare weapons and equipment out there that could go up and down, and just get it so that you have in your collection. Especially right now when these decks are so cheap, right? Like it's $20 most of the time. But if you're looking at a $20 deck and then a 15-card weapon, a $15 weapon, obviously that now changes it not being cheap. So go collect all the weapons, all the equipment, all that stuff. You can get it for dirt cheap. I would grab it now because you never know when it's going to move in and out. Obviously, there's certain equipment that you're kind of like, I probably don't need that. You know, we look at most of the hunted equipment, right? That unless it's the one that we're always using. Why am I forgetting the name of it? I just forget the names of everything.
The Blade Beckoner stuff?
Yeah. Unless it's Blade Beckoner, everything else in that set is shit.
Yeah.
But I think you can quickly tell like if something's crap or not. But I would say collect all of the weapons. So anyways, so my question, I think that was kind of the standout. My question to you is, someone who's an enjoyer of this deck, is what is this deck's weakness? I mean, obviously we saw it in Briar. I think I want to have a discussion about that after, but I want to talk about this first on what you kind of see as its weakness and how you can kind of attack that, because I do think we're going to see more of them go up.
Arcane. Arcane is the weakness. And I mean, in full force, it is pretty crazy. And don't get me wrong, I think aggro also does pretty well into the deck, right? I think you have to, everybody kind of has to take this moment to remember the triangle, right? Which is aggro will beat mid-range will beat control will beat aggro, right? That thing tends to function in that realm. Aggro can beat mid-range. Decimator is mid-range. And then Decimator exists to beat control being Block Slop Guardian and all that stuff. And then that exists specifically to beat aggro, which is just outlive your opponent, wait till they have no more threats left in their deck, kill them with your weapon that does more damage than them. That is the cycle. You can consider Kano to also kind of be an aggro deck.
Yeah. He's an aggro. He's a combo.
Because, very combo oriented, right? I know sometimes that's the thing, right? Mid-range, some people don't believe mid-range exists in Flesh and Blood and that it's actually combo and not mid-range. We can think of it like a square, right? Fi and Briar will keep. Actually, funny enough, I just had a conversation with DM Armada about this. Fi and Briar are keeping Kano in check. Kano is keeping Decimator Great Axe in check, and Decimator Great Axe is keeping the Block Slop Guardians in check. And then those Guardians are keeping the aggro in check.
No, I do think in Flesh and Blood we do have the traditional games. Usually combo is that one that kind of ekes out. Like, is it mid range? Is it control? But it tends to be folded up under control, because typically if you are a combo one, you're doing some control-y things to kind of slow down the game in order to get your combo completed.
Right.
So in a traditional game, most people actually put combo and control together because control is usually decking out your opponent, that sort of thing, whereas
Right.
combo is slowing the game down to pull off your combo. In Flesh and Blood, it's not exactly the same thing, just um, because in other games, right, you build up, right? You're building up your
Right.
resources to get there, whereas in this, it's like I have combo from turn one if I want it.
Right.
Like I can do it from there. So it does make it fit a little bit different where you're right. I think it is kind of more of a square going on
Yeah.
than a triangle. So combo it kind of fits in weird than from traditional games.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's, again, like aggro being the one to beat out combo makes more sense because combo, you still want to take the time to set up. If you die
Yep.
before that happens, you can't really set anything up. Combo being able to beat mid range, the aggro can also beat mid range in that same vein. If you didn't get if your opponent bricks a hand and you get value, like you could beat out an aggro deck, but an aggro deck can also just send a ton of damage in which you can't prevent all of it and you die.
Yep.
So that
Yeah,
also can happen.
I think in this game, like if we wanted to keep the triangle, I really feel like combo is kind of mid range. If like you really want to make an
We
argument
can
for
put
it.
them in that same vein there
Yeah.
because let me tell you,
It does get awkward just because uh in this particular combo deck does beat the other mid-range deck. So
right.
it's kind of
It's
it makes
because
it a
that's the
little
thing,
awkward.
right? Is like combo. I mean, because let me tell you, the thing that I'm seeing that is combo effectively in a way, which doesn't really include like the lineup of cards effectively,
Yeah.
but something we are seeing a lot of. I say something I'm at least personally seeing a lot of is Runechant Stack Florian.
Yep.
That deck, if you are playing Decimate or Great Axe, you cannot win. Period. Bar none.
Because you can't do
Nothing.
enough.
Nothing you can do. You could stack 2 red felling swings and an axe and swing at your opponent for a whopping 16 points of damage, and it still would not be enough to threaten lethal. It's just block everything. Keep making rune chants. Keep decomposing. Okay, cool. Now they're online. They've made 50 rune chants. They attack you with a free attack, and then you die. Like,
Yep.
there's no way for you to get around that. And so those are very combo oriented things as well. It's effectively
And combo stack, I would say, is probably more of a control deck than that, like where it fits in. Yeah, it's a combo,
yeah.
but that fits in more of the control-esque area than the mid-range area.
Yeah. Well, and I also think the reason control, obviously this is like a completely different thing. We're getting like kind of
I know.
deeper into the topic, but like, I mean, control, I also think is just it's not so much just a fatigue game plan, right? Because then we would just call it fatigue. Control is more so you're telling your opponent that you are controlling their turn, right? You are telling them they can only play 3 cards because they have attacks that they have to play in order for them to play one of their additional cards that they can't do, right? If you're playing Oldham's a very good control deck because it's pitch a blue ice card. That combo finisher that you have at the end of your turn, just put it to the top of your deck, right? So that's kind of where a lot more of the control based aspect goes into. But again, kind of like how combo and mid range are kind of like pseudo in that same area, fatigue and control are kind of in that same area, right? But
typically I put fatigue and control together.
Yeah.
In general.
Because I mean that's the concept, right? Is to outlast your opponent, right? To control them to where you can gain the advantage and then push through. So that's done by at least in Flesh and Blood, it's done by blocking very well and also presenting some kind of immediate disruption to make sure that they have to give you cards in order for them to threaten less damage on their turn, so on and so forth. You're forcing them in that position to play your game, which is why it's called control.
Yeah. And I think like I look at the finals. The final match was fantastic. I loved watching that. I do think just kind of seeing that, I was like, I think the Olympia deck is better against Briar.
Yeah.
Than it, and just because of honestly, because the helmet being 2 block on its own can stop Starfall.
Yeah.
In its wake. with just that first block. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need anything else. Like that alone, I think makes it better against Briar. Like if we look at that crazy Briar turn that happened, I was like, I think that um, Olympia's Olympia in general, like just the way that deck was built, could have handled that huge pop off turn.
Yeah.
I do think turn up would probably still go through. There just would have been less going through, and that's kind of where it turned. It was really close. Well, I say that except for the fact that they set up that amazing overpower turn and killed him, but he happened to have Arcane
He had
Seed's
the Arcane
life.
Seed's life, and that's variance, right? That is
Yeah,
top tier. I mean, we see it. We saw it at the Pro Tour with Arthur Trehay popping the
yeah,
Sigil of Solace off the top of the deck.
it
Like
was very
these
reminiscent of that.
are card games. Like he dead on the spot if it was not for the 1 point of health you gained from Arcade Seed's life and proceeded to bring it back. And not only did they bring it back, but they also proceeded to just mind game the hell. Like Paul Van Heysel literally just mind gamed the hell out of his opponent and said, I need to just never swing Starfall for the rest of this game.
I know.
And
I know.
I win. And that's it. I mean, like you have to know. I mean, that's kind of the big thing.
If you watch that back, like just seeing that, you're like, he's got to swing Starfall at some point, and the way that he sets it up forces him to utilize that and not do it. And
Yep.
you watch that back and you go like, I think if it was me, I might have attacked sooner with Starfall than he did. Like I don't think I would have set that up in a way, and that's why we have people like that who win calling.
That's a pro player.
Second calling to win, and
player
that
right
was
there.
the way he set it up. And I'm like, maybe like. I've seen the deck enough to know like I died to Steelblade Shunt, and so I have to be careful in this. But at the same time, when you're trying to pull off a win, the odds of them pulling Steelblade Shunt is not very high. Like I don't even think they hit second cycle at that point.
No.
And so anyway, so it was just they did it in such a way that they were able to pull off a win because they forced it, where they didn't fall victim to a Steelblade Shunt in there.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's why I just think it was fantastic. They played around, everybody played around their outs, and it just Briar happened to win. I do think, everyone's going to look at that. Anybody who didn't watch it or see it will look at that and be like, "Oh, of course, Briar run." Not the case. Like, you watch the game before, KO probably should have won that game, except he pulled a shit hand on his last hand. If he had a decent hand, just a decent hand, he would have won.
Yep.
And once again, it comes down to variance. And I think what we see here is, I think Briar, she's not as right. There was only one Briar in there. She had a 17. There was only 24 Briars in day 2. There's like 140 or whatever going in. So like, it's not very. It was a 17% conversion rate. Obviously, 24 was still the highest number, but when it's almost 25% of the field and you come in at that conversion rate, like she's not that. She's dominant, but like it's going to be that many just because there was 25% of the field. Was it? So I don't think one of the things I've seen with Briar is there's times where she just folds.
Yeah,
like it's a bad hand. She has she has that. The only thing that I see in the deck is the fact of there is, at least in good players' hands, there's usually an out of there. Her deck is a little bit like, I just think her deck is a little bit more forgiving when you make a mistake than any of the other decks. And that's partially because of how much damage you can put out. Like you go back to the final. I mean, he did what, like 20 damage or something like that with his burn up shock turn? Something crazy, like probably over 20. I didn't sit down and count it, but I was like, that is just a ton of damage going through. So I just think she's just a little bit more consistent than others, but she will hit those dead hands. She will hit that. If you cannot set up those big turns like that, block slop will just shut you down. And so it's the good players learning, like, when do I go and when do I not? When do I need to set up? Do I need to set up a cycle? All that. So I think overall it was great. I think that Briar isn't as dominant as people think. It's just in the right hands, just like anything. A good player is going to come out on top with the right deck.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's, at the end of the day, it was just a beautiful showing of how close these games can still get, right? I think a lot of people, when they saw when they saw initially what was the format, they're like, okay, this is going to be like Blitz, in which Rhinar is going to come out and deal 25 damage to you turn 1, and then or turn 0, and you're going to die, and you're not going to get to play the game, and you're going to move into the next one, and so on and so forth. Or Kano is going to blow you up, and you're going to have a million. It's not like that. Like it's like, sure, 4 turns maybe is like the 3 to 4 turns is like the low end of like what you're going to see. But some games, like the
even those 3 to 4 turns are very exciting. Like you
Yeah.
have to look at what is my out here? Because most of the time you can't just blow someone up like that.
Right.
You can't just take all the damage and then turn around and blow someone up. Like
Yep.
you can-ish, like right, Final, who's like, oh, give me 11 damage, cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send back
exactly.
20
I mean,
something.
that's, and it really just kind of comes down to like, what are you, what is your deck capable of doing, right? Did you prep it for these specific situations? And it's still like quite a tight game, right? You're still getting that back and forth of flesh and blood, in which you're like, even Paul Van Heysel, the winner of the event, he even spoke on when he was talking with Scott Mines about the format and everything, because Scott was just like, well, what do you feel about it? He's like, honestly, I liked it more than he initially thought, and it makes him think more than it does in CC, which is, I mean, that's an enticing thing, right? This is you remove the first 20 life buffer that you would get in Classic Constructed, and now you're just like, okay, this is now everything matters. We're already in a tight position. We still have all of our power, but can we line it up to essentially do more to our opponent and get over their defenses? Or, did my opponent draw a crazy good disruptive hand? Did they draw all of their good blocks when I had all my good attacks, and we just kind of like met in the middle and nothing happened? Can I do that again my game? Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot, and I don't know if maybe they had. I don't think they had 2 stream games on, right? Like, per round, they would do 2. I don't think they had more recorded more than that. But what they showed, like there is a lot more back and forth in the games than I was anticipating. Like just because we've been playing, I've been playing a lot in Talishar and this and that, and it's like but in these games, right? Like sometimes when you're on Talishar, just like this is kind of a wash.
Yeah,
I'll play to the end, but I'm not really going to care.
Yeah.
Right. And with this, it was like even when people were backed up against the wall, sometimes we see them pull out a win.
Yeah.
We saw there was a Rhinar game. I don't remember who was facing. I think it was a Briar, right? Like he went and dealt like 8 or 9 damage to him, turn 0. Like, and they still pulled it out. But once again, maybe I think that was the semifinal. And they still pulled it out, but like it took it wasn't just like oh shoot, I am at a 9 life deficit now. It was okay. How do I win?
How do you come back from it, right? I mean, if you're taking 9 damage, you're taking it because you can crack back more, right? That is just effectively.
Well, well, in this case, it was they got intimidated, all their cards out of there,
right?
Yeah.
So and exactly it, right? Like you can't exactly.
I know, and that's happened to me before, where I've gotten that, and I was like, damn, okay.
That happened to me last night.
With
last night at Classic Constructed, I played. I was on Huntsman, and my buddy was on Rhinar, Medax Rhinar, and I was like, okay, cool. Surely this will be like kind of fine. Parka thing in Arsenal. Hope that we're getting good stuff. I got high rolled, dude. It was like Medax into Pop Chest, Bear Destruction, go again. I have no cards left in my hand now after the Bear Destruction. So Bear Destruction comes in for 10, go again, into 10, go again with Swing Big. And I'm like, I can't block this. Like, I don't have anything to block. I just took like 26 points of damage, and I draw up into my hand and I go dagger, leave no witnesses. Like, what does that do? It doesn't feel anywhere near as good as that. So it's, I mean, really, like there's a thing. There's a lot of back and forth in the game still. And I think that with the way the meta has shaped up, right, we are seeing, we're seeing kind of what is expected to be. And of course, my top choices effectively for this: Briar, Oldhim, Decimator Great X, Warrior, period, whatever flavor you want to do, but probably Dory or Olympia. I'm choosing Olympia. Kano and KO. right?
Yeah, because
KO.
the battle hardened was Kano Mirror.
Yeah, Kano Mirror,
Like,
which is, I
it
mean,
was
like
like
it's not as cool because you don't have Aether Wildfire, but it is still like pretty close. I mean, it's effectively still a who shoots first scenario, and that's, I mean, those are really fun games to watch. I'm so sad we didn't get to see what that game looked like, but
I heard rumors that they recorded it and will release it later.
really, okay, because I would
I
love to
heard
see
rumors.
that.
I don't know. That's what I heard. I heard rumors of that broom ring, and I was like, "Huh, okay." Well, I
Well,
hope that
Ethan,
rumor is true.
The fact that I know you watch this now, you you have to tell us. Shoot me a DM. Let me know. I would love to do a video recording, just kind of showcasing the match, because that had to have been so sick. Because it's what
Yeah.
it was like,
Well,
Arthur
it was
Trahey,
Arthur Trahey
yeah,
and
Arthur Trahey and Jacob
a
Clemens,
second. Yes,
yeah,
Jacob Clemens won it, and it was Arthur Trahey. They were both. I've looked at both of their decks because I'm going in and kind of picking the top 10 decks that I want to build, put it into the battle box. I
right,
completed a couple, and I was like, okay, which version of this do I want to do
right,
for Kano? I did end up picking Jacob Clemens just because it looked a little simpler
uh-huh,
to do for people than Arthur Trahey's. Arthur Trahey's, you could definitely tell like it was it was definitely stylized to his style. Like you could
yeah,
just tell, like he put a lot of work into this deck, and that and even if it wasn't him, maybe he got it from a buddy of his. Whoever built that deck, it looks the way that it is. There's a lot of one ups and stuff like that. Usually, when you see a lot of one ups in a deck, you go, whoever built this deck put time into it to decide what one ups should be in there.
which is crazy because like that's something you don't normally expect to see, is like the one ofs, right? But like if it's like
Mhm.
two reds and a blue, and it's just like, why are you only choosing one blue? What
Well,
would
it's
you
not
have
even
swapped
just
it out
that.
for
It was
this?
like
Like,
it's like there was a bunch of one ups of just like red cards and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like it was an interesting build, and so I ended up going with David Cummins because it just looked kind of a little bit more consistent, a little bit more what you want to see, what you would
right,
expect to see in Kano. But I have them all saved. I haven't built them all, but I saved a bunch in
yeah.
there.
And I mean,
And
what
so,
that was the big thing that I think was kind of insane with Kano is the use of the unyielding grip, the new generic arm
mhm.
piece.
Yes, yes,
Crazy work. Just a block with your arm piece,
yes.
Kano a whole bunch, and now it blocks for 3.
Now
Like,
blocks for 3.
super cool. Not too many new cards in the deck though, for
No.
Kano. It's pretty much all, I think those are the only two, is like getting rid of the dominate and getting rid of the, and
Mm.
having the
Yeah,
unyielding grip.
well, I was gonna say that too. I was surprised at how many people have the unflinching foothold. That's the one that gets rid of the dominate.
Yeah,
It is a block one, and then you can destroy it
yeah,
on an instant speed to get rid of dominate. I
mm,
think that is first time I saw it, I was like, well, why would you do that over anything
right.
else, right? We got Blake Beckoner, which could block for 2 in a lot of cases, but in this case, it's literally just, hey, I get one block that sometimes Blake Beckoners are only one block. Let's be
Right.
real, and then I get to destroy one of your dominates in there. So I think I was a little bit surprised at how many decks have them in there,
Uh-huh.
but I'm happy to see it. I think it will make a difference
Yeah, I
in
think
there.
it's a way to get an out. You know, if Valda's going to send a dominated attack at you, and you go, okay, cool, stop that. I'll block with 3 cards, keep this red in my arsenal, and then
Hmm.
you're able to, or even if it's just like, use it, block with 3 cards, play epot pass. Like,
Yeah.
it's a way for you to set up at least, which is kind of nice,
Yep.
especially into those dominate effects. But I mean, all the decks are up on fabtcg's website, so you can go check those out. They're all available for you to go check out. And
Also, a bunch of them are on February too. So if you just go to the
okay,
tournament
so
section, you
yeah,
can see a bunch of them in there. So like I went in, I saw a bunch of them in February and saved them and did that. And of course I'm gonna do my decimator is going to be Olympia. I just
yeah,
think that that's a better one in there. He gets a little bit more defense into those aggro matchups. I actually, if you go back and watch like the Olympia v Dory one that we had in there, I actually think Olympia player messed up because he let the X get go again, and Dory took advantage of
for
that, did
sure,
get
for
go
sure,
again,
for
and then
sure.
he had to block it out when he could have just blocked it out to not give it go again. So I think that you go back and watch some of that, and I'm like, I think that there was definitely some missteps on the Olympia side because I think that Olympia, like I said before, I think Olympia just has a better chance into Briar.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think they do also. I think it's the better defensive version of the deck to be able to outlive
Yeah.
aggro. Where sure, like theoretically you could play around with more go against stuff with Great Axe, because the thing I came to to obviously realize as I was building whether or not I wanted to do Dory or I wanted to do Olympia is that like towards the end part of the game, theoretically, if I can find a way to make like an agility token, or if my opponent gives me an agility token or something, me keeping 2 blues means I get to swing axe. They don't give me 2 cards; they give me 1 card because they want to crack back. I hit for 1, or I hit for 2, I guess, and then I'm able to swing it again. Right?
Yep.
What that does theoretically is that allows you to use less cards for through your deck, but only in like 2 very specific scenarios, and that's like it. Outside of that, what I like doing in Olympia much more is doing things like playing hit and run, swinging with my axe for 4, and then swinging with a 7 power attack or sirens, right? That allows me to then gain life, do the same thing, but that costs me 2 cards in my deck instead of 1 card, which is where there could very well be a slight difference in value, right, in the course of the long game. But I think we all know that just like how that game turned out, it's not so much about the end game, because you sometimes don't even get there. A lot of it is you know that your shunts are going to full block. So what you need to use them for is to kill your opponent. So you can either block with a non-block and then block with a shunt, right? But the downfall is that you lose 3 cards in that scenario and send axe for 4. But you gave up 3 cards for the. Technically, you gave up 2 cards and then put 1 back in your deck for that specific scenario. But if you did shunt, you still ping them for 1 life. And how that match worked out is that because of that misstep, right, where they essentially let that axe get go again from the refraction bolters, they took 4 more extra damage than they needed to, which brought them down to a very killable life total, in which I was just like, I think everybody, even the casters in the booth, we were sitting there going, all right, well, if Kieran draws 2 shunts here, it's over. And then lo and behold, whoop, there they are. Like,
because I think at that point, I think they did hit stack.
Yes.
They hit stack at that point.
Yes, yeah. So, and
he knew those were coming up.
That's what it comes down to, right? And I think it was also another big masterclass thing there too, is to not overstep. Kieran was at like 5 life, and Stefan was at like 2, right? And instead of Kieran just slamming down, just saying block, no reactions, go right to reaction step, and then Stefan overpowering, instead it was block with a piece of equipment and also a card from hand to block 4. And that was like, okay, cool. That gives your opponent the concept of being like, okay, they probably don't have the shunt, otherwise they would have used it, right? Or they would have said no blocks and they would have just gone to shunt, and instead decided to wait until their opponent provided the attack reaction, made sure they had no cards left in hand so they couldn't do like an Oasis respite or something, and then just slammed down both of them and won the game. Like, that is very, very key to the game plan, because anything could happen, right? They could be an arcane polarity in their hand for all they know, and it could be like, oh, okay, like, guess you'll gain 1 life and not die, like, and then I'll die. So it's a very, very nice dance. I like the Decimator Great Axe dance between each other. And then you even have like those games in between, like the I think it was the Oldham match? Yes. Where they went like 21 turns or something of that. It literally went
to
time. It went to time, and it was quite literally like, but that is how those games are supposed to go. And that was like the best way you could have ever like done a fatigue v fatigue game, is like seeing your opponent draw their last 4 cards and be like, or last like 2 cards. They're like, I legitimately have no way to prevent this damage because I only have 2 blocks in my hand. You're presenting 4. I'm at 1 life. I have to give you both of these cards. You're going to kill me regardless. Like, it's over. We're good to go. So
because he could have full blocked, and then it would have been a tie.
right.
And so he was a good sport and was like, "Hey, I can't like there is no way for me to win this, so I'm gonna give you the win."
Yeah.
So that was great, great sportsmanship to see that.
Uh-huh.
I do think on a higher level we do see that because I think if that was say at a locals would probably just be like, "Whatever, we're going, or it's gonna be a
Uh-huh.
tie," and it's like I do think our competitors in Flesh and Blood do tend to have.
Well, I don't know that it would have been a tie, right? Would it have been?
Yeah, that was the last turn.
Well, the
If he'd
last
full blocked it, it was it. It was done.
well, to be fair, yeah. Well, because he would have blocked because he was at 1, right?
Yeah, but he would have blocked 4.
Because he blocked. Well, he had 2 blocks in his hand. Is that right?
I thought he had like a 3 and a 2.
I don't know. I'd have to watch it back. Because if he did have a 3, then yes, right. Obviously, that would be the thing in which it would tie.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't tie because technically it'd go to a draw. So you'd probably both
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah, at that point, but
yeah, that is
so that
kind
was
of the
that was
bigger
good
thing there
sportsmanship.
is just to be like good sportsmanship about it and just be like, yeah, it's just better off that
Yep.
we give this to you and
Yep.
you move forward. So
Yep, and because I do think, like I said, in local level, I think we would see not necessarily even local level. Like I know our locals are pretty good about that.
yeah,
Like in you know, road to Nats or something like that, I could see someone being kind of a douche about that
I
and
mean,
just be like,
like
"I'm going to full block this," and it's a tie.
I think it's very very hard. Yeah, if it ends up being the case, but I think the downfall is like it's different when 2 fatigue players. I always have this discussion in which like 2 fatigue players going
Sure.
into each other.
They know it's
We're
up.
done
They know
far
it's
before
up.
time. Usually, we're slamming through our stuff. We're not sitting here like wondering whether or not we need to block this or that or the other. Like we know
Yeah.
we're gonna block anyway. It's just gonna keep going. But it's always the aggro players who seem to have an issue because they're not happy that we're just continuously blocking out their big combo turns or their big like aggro turns, and then they go, okay, I have 3 cards left in my deck that deal 12 damage. You're at 5. I could probably win, and you're like 20 cards left in your deck, and you're like, yeah,
And they're like, "No, you could."
you can't, but all right, whatever, like sure. And then that's usually when you see people get a little salty about it. But it's always good just to see the good sportsmanship. And again, it showed that is why Decimator Great Axe is in the meta right now, is to stop this like block slop stuff from being so very relevant in the meta entirely.
Is the block stop stuff like I played Bio for a little while. Play Lexi, like it sometimes it will just shut you down. Like
Yeah.
you have to most of the time you have to kind of pitch stack in Briar to set up that big burn up shock turn with
Right.
a lightning press, make sure it gets through and you're getting, that amount of damage through. And that's hoping that they don't have a D-react because sometimes they do and they just
Right.
block it and they just stop it. So you do have to kind of it's tricky and that's what it's there for, right? I play Lexi, like I have to I think we've had this discussion before. When I'm going against block slop, I go, okay, do I risk it and just hope I get my snapshots line up, or do I try to pitch stack to get my snapshots lined up? The difficulty in those decisions is the fact that as a ranger, for instance, I have 21 life versus they're like 32 or whatever. Like, like I don't have a lot of armor, and so it's aggro all the time. If I let up to try to pitch stack, they hit me hard with a 7 or 8 attack that I probably can't block. And so you get those decision points, and that's why it's there. Like, I think block slop, as frustrated as I am against block slop, because I get very frustrated into it, it's there for a reason. Otherwise, we'll just have aggro matchups all day long.
I mean,
that's not fun.
It's a very reasonable way to play the game. I mean, and that's the thing, is that it's counterable, right? If you truly are like, I hate this kind of gameplay and I want to win into it every time because I do not want to ever feel that way ever again, you can play combo decks. Like you can play Rune Chant Stack Florian, and that absolutely kills any block slop guard, like absolutely murders it. And so,
and I might see if I can find a deck list for that Florian.
I'll send you one.
Oh, send me one. Yeah,
because I've been
I'll
working
probably
on
add it to my battle box.
It's pretty cool.
I'll add that to my battle box just because it interests me. I don't know how powerful it is, but once again, like at the end of the day, I think I could probably fit like I have the big box. I could
Right.
probably fit about 20 decks in there. So
Hmm.
like my goal is to essentially what I want to do is kind of keep the top 8
Yeah.
decks in there that are constantly getting in our top
Yep.
8 and everything, and then have it where and then have kind of like another 8 to 10 kind of floating of like here's some fringe decks, here's some fun decks, right?
Hmm.
Like for instance, we look at it and we saw there was no mechs in top 8. Surprisingly,
There were no
there was
mechs in
no
day
mech.
2.
Yeah, there was no mechs in
Period.
day 2, and like I can't not have a battle box without a mech. Like
I
so,
mean,
it's like I have to put a mech in there.
you can
No,
theoretically, you
no,
can,
no.
you could.
No, we gotta have something in there because I do think mech is one of the easiest ones to just pick up and go, especially for new players.
Yeah,
That it's just
but
like
so
here,
is like
take this.
Ira,
So
right?
Ira is too, but Ira didn't make top 8s either,
She
which
did make day
actually
2
was
though.
really which yes, that's true. Ira not making a top 8 is actually really surprising to me. I do think that Iras aren't. I'm gonna say this very lightly. I think the Iras aren't necessarily building correctly. I do see some decent Ira Edge of Autumn builds out there, and everyone's
Uh-huh.
doing Kadachis. And I do think that the Edge of Autumn Ira build might be better, just because of that
Huh.
extra card draw that you kind of force people into.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could see it. I could see it. I don't. I mean, I don't know enough about Ninja for me to make my. I know that most of the
I don't.
time
I
it's
don't
life
play
of the
Ninja.
party
I don't like
stuff.
Ninja.
So
Yeah, okay, it is life of the party stuff, but I do think you still get the Edge of Autumn, Edge of Autumn into an attack,
right.
and then it's the attack reaction that
Yeah, Legacy of
I've
Ikaru or whatever. Right.
yeah, the Legacy of Ikaru, they'll let you draw a card if it hits and stuff like that. So it's a it's ancestral empowerment, but Sage,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
and it's the right amount of power, and I do think that there's something there that I think people get. They just look at Kadachis and go like, "Oh, I should always have 3 attacks." The thing is I think that doesn't work as well as we think it should work.
Uh-huh.
Because if I'm doing 1 into 3, you go 1 into 3 into say like a 2 attack or something. Number 1, that's 4 in
Yeah.
there, and number 2, you're just block stop will block it out. They don't care, and the aggro decks are just going to outrun you. And so if you could do tricks in there to give you advantage, I think that's the way. So I've been seeing that and been like, I think that the Edge of Autumn just might be a better build. But at the end of the day, our best players are going to go to the best decks, and I don't think Ira is the best decks. I do think she's a solid A tier. I think she's kind of low end A tier. I
Yeah.
think she is the ones that are going to win lower, kind of more local stuff, Road to
Right.
Nationals. We have our ProQuest season coming up. Like Ira's absolutely going to own some of those ones. I think she's going to do very, very well. I just don't think when you look at kind of the little more pro scene, they kind of know how to play against her a little bit better. The best way to play Ira traditionally in the past was always kind of like a mid range or like a turtle, like a
Yeah.
ninja turtle. And because we don't have flick flack and things like that, that does change
Yeah.
the
It's
way that
harder.
she has to evolve.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a lot of play for her. I mean, she's always kind of been the like budget format like champion for the
Yeah.
most part. But I do also think that with the addition of these rares and of course the removal of Flick Flack,
Yep.
she has to do a little bit more of like that aggressive plan, which I think is helpful to her in
Yep.
entirely moving forward. But I know that it's not going to be Fi levels of aggro. Like Fi is like
No, and that's the
premier
thing.
ninja right now. Like that is crazy.
And we do
deck.
have. I mean, the thing is what I've seen with her, especially the Edge of Autumn. It's a little bit easier to go like Edge of Autumn into like a humble,
Right.
or
Yeah,
what's the one
if you
that
go
if you
one
get 4 cards you discard. Like you can
cut down to
there's
size. Yeah,
cut
yeah.
down to size. Like there are some control cards in there
Uh-huh.
that I think become just a little bit more powerful in say like the Edge of Autumn build.
For
Because
sure.
you don't know, like, am I gonna do? What are they gonna do? Are they gonna, go into
Well, see,
Ikaru,
and
like
that's
Civic
when
Cruise
that's when you
draw,
play
or
that's when you play Pummel in Ira. Pummel Ira
yeah,
is crazy. Like that's a
yes,
thing a lot of people are not experiencing or not expecting when that happens. And so
mhm,
and that's kind of the best part is you get to do that if you're playing Edge of Autumn because it's going to be Edge of Autumn into 7 and you're not going to need to worry about those zero cost combo
mhm,
cards that you're going to have to pitch for Kadachis. Although I still
yeah,
think Kadachi is like quite a powerful combo to have
Oh yeah,
for
I'm
Ira.
not. I'm not saying they have no chance.
Right.
I just think that there might be more of a thing in Edge of Autumn than there is in Kodachi's just at
I believe
this
it.
time in this meta. That I think I would like to see more Ira players experiment with that because I
Yeah.
have seen it firsthand.
I mean,
We have a
we see
local
it
where
in
they do that, and it
look at the Benji list that did well into day
yeah.
2. Like that was running Edge of Autumn and all the Seek
Yep.
Vengeances and everything, and like
Mhm.
Ira can do the same thing. Like it's very much so
Yep.
the same concept, and I think that Seek Vengeance is a very good card. Being
Yes.
able to have it come in for a 0 for 5.
Mhm.
Edge of Autumn 0 for 5. And then follow it up with a Life of the Party or whatever. Like you can theoretically do all those
Yes.
things, and it's a great way to kind of push down your opponent's defenses and get yourself set up. But I mean, you also get to play things like, again, like Sirens of Safe Harbor is still a very legal card in the
Mhm.
format.
Yep.
You still get to play Stony Wootenhaw. You get to play Rising Militia. You get to play. It's just a whole bunch of really good,
There's a
like
whole bunch of stuff.
quote unquote good generic staples that you can run.
Yes. On top of that, like you don't have to worry about those zero cost blues that you absolutely have to
Correct.
run if you're done doing Kodachi. So just I think gives you a little bit more flexibility
Mm-hmm.
in there. So I would like to see kind of more experimentation with that. I think, and I think I forgot I wasn't even thinking about the Benji Day 2. I could see ninja players because of that deck starting to experiment more with Edge of Bottom. I do
For
think
sure.
that there's more there
Yep, I
than there
agree.
is. I know we are like we've been chit chatting for an hour. I want to talk a little bit about something you keep talking about is they might ban Axe,
They might ban
which
X. That's
I
right.
don't think that they will. I feel like personally, I feel like it's at a good spot. It holds the meta in place where block slot just can't be a thing,
Uh-huh.
especially with Briar, being super popular in there. So I do hope that they don't do it. What I do hope, and I've said this a couple times, I know you've seen it in different channels, is I do hope they give us a reason to not play Decimator.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is like give us cards that help swords, or give us cards for that I can destroy copper for. Sure, Blood on Her Hands is too powerful for this format, but give me like a Silver Age version of that, right? Like
Right.
give me a reason to play these heroes that are not uh that don't want to play Decimator Great Axe. Give me a
Right.
reason to play Dawnblade. Give me, counters on Dawnblade. Double up if it hits or whatever. Like there's all the Gusling Steelblade. Like give me a Silver Age version of that, right? Like there's all these things in there that they have at that majestic level. And that, quite frankly, that we played in Clash, right? That
Mm-hmm.
were specs that were like, oh, there's a reason to play this hero over Decimator. Like Decimator and
Right.
Clash wasn't really a thing because we had all these specs and Blood
Right.
on Her Hands and things like that. Like, let's turn Kasai into the combo deck that she should be, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's Kasai is a combo deck, and the reason why she doesn't do very well right now is because there's not enough cards for her to combo with.
There's
Quite
literally
frankly,
no cards for her to combo with. Like nothing. It's I mean, and I agree. I think that if there were better ways to play Warrior, we'd probably see them. I wouldn't doubt that somebody out there is cooking super hard with a sharpened Dawnblade
Mhm.
Dorinthia list.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they did get some stuff there. The sharpened stuff can also work with Kasai if they're also using it there too. But I think really it just kind of comes down to like, what are we going to see? Obviously, there are going to be new cards that are coming out in the holodeck.
Mhm.
They're going to help Warrior. And I mean, my hunch the entire time when we were seeing that Dory day one and we never got to actually see what that Dory like did.
I did. I was like, is that a Decimator list? And you're like, I don't know.
Everybody kind of assumed it was, but I knew full well that there is somebody out there cooking a Fatigue Dawnblade list. And I'm like, is this just this? Is this what happened? Like, are we seeing this unfold in real time? And I mean, it turned out to be Decimator, but like the deck that person is running is incredibly cool and definitely still does the same thing, except it's able to threaten even more damage over the course of the game because they're able to get over their opponent's defenses and like, rip stuff down. I think there's obviously opportunity, but currently with the block heavy 0 for 4s in the meta that are legal, you it makes it so you're able to get over your opponent's defenses, and even if it's only for like 2 points of damage, that's still chip damage that will eventually lead your opponent to be okay. They have to start giving you 2 cards, and they start have to giving you 3 cards,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now your opponent's out of cards. What happened? Like, how did that occur? So I think there's a reason it exists, and don't get me wrong, I hope it doesn't get banned. I hope that we get to continue to play Decimator Great Axe. But I think that is something that, we've seen in the past where things have been banned strictly because it was a feels bad in the community. It was a feels bad overall. And if people are really having an awful time with Decimator, and people are like, yeah, my local meta is 10 Decimator Great Axe Warrior and like 2 Oldhim, and I'm playing, I don't know, Dash. Like, it's not that.
Well, I would say that's you not playing meta.
Right,
Like,
right. But that's the
figure out how
thing
to
is
do it.
like, but unfortunately, that still leads to the same things, right? Where like,
Yeah.
everybody eventually gets a little tired of it being the way that you play Warrior. And with that being the case, it's not so much that they ban Decimator because the deck is busted. They would ban Decimator because they're like, well, we want Warriors to have a bit more of an identity, and they're putting
Yeah.
Decimator Great Axe in Fang and in Bolton and in Kasai and in Dory and in like
yes.
everything.
Well,
And
that's why I say, I hope they take the route of let's give these other warriors a
for sure,
reason
for
to
sure.
exist.
I hope they do. I hope they do.
Because, like, I'm sorry, the cards that came out in Pen for Warrior are not there right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
they're
those
just
are
not,
cards
that's
that
not it.
those are cards that I genuinely feel. It's funny because like I didn't even think Display of Craftsmanship was going to make it into any of these decks.
I know, right?
And they're running 4 copies of it in Decimator Olympia, and I was like, okay, maybe something is there. I mean, obviously it's a 2 for 4, like sure, right? Not the end of the world, and it blocks for 3, which is really the more important part about that reaction. So I think it's
Well, because we have in heavy hitters there's the 2 for 5, but it has to be blocked by attack action.
right.
So like this is their way around that.
Yeah, they
So,
effectively
like,
just get to
here,
go.
here's
It's
a
a
2 for 4.
raw 2 for 4. Like it's just going to give you that
Mhm.
pump no matter what. It's not a reprise effect. It's not you're blocking an attack action is blocking you kind of deal. So I don't know. I think Decimator is going to be in a fine spot. Obviously, they're not going to do any kind of bans until PQ season is over. But
Mhm.
I think that there are a few things that we're going to obviously see banned. I, along with probably a lot of people in the community, believe that Burn Up Shock is going to get a ban.
Yes. I was about to say I do think that Burn Up Shock needs to be banned because it does too much. Like you look at Arcane Seeds. Like Arcane Seeds by itself is 2 rune chance and gain a life.
Yep.
That's 3 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And in this case, right, it saved him, and I think that is even. I think the reason why Burn Up Shock is an issue is number one, dealing 4 damage in a 20 health format is too much. Number two, then having 1 arcane on a stick that you can just hit them with instantly is too much because if you look at, and I'm surprised they didn't hit Burn Up Shock because
I mean, a shock isn't the end of the world. I mean, like the shock part is not awful, right? Because you also have to remember that there is a rune. There's a sigil that just came out for Lightning Runeblade that just says instant speed, ping your opponent.
That's what I was leading to. So I think, in my mind, this is the reason why I'm surprised they didn't Burn Up Shock because they printed this. So it's Sigil of Voltaris. When this enters or leaves the arena, deal 1 arcane damage to the hero, and it's a Lightning Runeblade. Okay, so we have that. So the reason why I was like, I'm surprised they didn't hit it and how they honestly really need to hit it because number one, the burnout part that's just too much damage in a 20 health format. On top of that, we have Electrify. Electrify is the right amount of damage that should happen because you don't need to play Electrify out of the arsenal in order to play it.
But Electrify costs 1.
It does cost 1, and that needs to happen in a deck that doesn't want to be redlined. If you want to get that burn up effect, you need to either build around it or get rid of it. On a deck that's dealing 4, and so that's why I'm like, I think Burn Up Shock needs to go because we have the sigil of Voltaris, right? So that gives us the shock part if
Uh-huh.
you want to put that in your deck. We have Electrify if you want to deal that bonus damage, but now you have to change your deck around. You can't just be like, here's a burn up shock every single damn time. And so auto includes like that. Arcane Seeds, I think, is an auto include, but it's not. It does three. It's three, right? In Briar, it's three. In Florian, it's can be up to
In
five.
Florian,
He has
it's
to quest.
like
He has to
7.
quest for that. Like at the end of the day, he has to quest to hit that, right? Like it's not just out of the box.
Oh, I
Let me
mean, I
go.
don't know. Did you see that card, Verdantide? That kind of just says get the Florian ability on your next Arcane Seeds life. So if you play Verdantide and then you Arcane Seeds life, that costs you 1 resource and 3 cards for you to gain
Yeah,
8 rune chance and 2 life.
I mean, but you still have to have another something else in there.
Oh yeah, but
Vertintide
that's
doesn't get it
that's
on its own.
Florian's ability. Like, or that's
Right.
that's quite literally doing
No,
that. I
and
think
that's what I'm saying. Like Arcane Seeds feels about the right amount of power level where it should be, whereas Burn Up Shock, because in order for it to be powerful, you have to complete a quest on a specific hero. Burn Up Shock just says, "I am powerful no matter what no matter what lightning rune blade you put me in, because I deal so much damage." There isn't a quest to hit for Aurora to make it more powerful. There's not a quest to hit for Briar to make it more powerful. It's the
correct.
fact of this is 0 for 5.
Yeah.
Unless you give me all your cards, in which case, cool, you gave me your whole hand. I'm going to come back next turn with 16.
Yeah, but I mean that's how aggro decks have been for like a long time. Have always been like
but
that, right?
it's usually like 0 for 3. Like 0 for 3 is on rate. This is a 0 for 5.
Yeah, 0 for 3 is on rate. Yeah, but I mean, like, we also see a lot of 0 for 4s in Briar's deck, and that's like far above rate already.
Yeah.
And then you pair it. See, I think personally, the reason I think Burn Up Shock needs to be banned is not because I think it's over rate. I think it's quite literally because you don't need to any of your attacks hit. You get the Burn Up Shot effect, including your weapon.
Mhm.
If it just said attack action, because guess what? Guess what's also legal in
Agreed.
the same format? Boom Grenade. Boom Grenade is a legal card for you to play, and it does literally the same thing. If you are playing against a Dash database and you get, no blocks, 4 damage, Boom Grenade off the top. That can happen. That is a real thing that can happen to you. And that's the same concept outside of the fact that you need to pay 1 resource for it, right? So obviously it's a bit more like, okay, cool, it's instant speed, deal burn up shock damage, or deal burn up damage. But
it's like them putting down a boom grenade at the beginning of the turn, and you're like, oh, I have to block out.
Exactly, right?
What it is.
And so that is the overall concept. Like, that deck builds around that and being like, cool, did I see it on the top? Awesome, boom, bam. I got you. Or it's like, cool, I'll start my turn by playing this off the top so I don't boost it, and then play a bunch of your attacks that come in for breakpoints to threaten that same amount of damage. Dash Database can do the same thing. The only difference is you don't get the shock ability off of it. And that's kind of
a big difference. I think the shock ability does make that card a little bit. It's kind of like, okay, if it was just the burn up part, fine. If it's the shock part, fine. And that's where I kind of get it, as it's too versatile, where I could play it on my turn to deal a shit ton of damage, or like force you to deal, or I can use it to kill you instantly, which is not what Runeblade should be doing in general. Like, I like that card in like, I would be less mad at this card if it was an Acilio card. If that makes sense. Because it feels much more wizardy.
Have you played Acilio? That's crazy. No, that would be insane. I think so again, like, the concept, the fact that it just like anything that hits triggers the burn up effect. The shock part is not a problem for me because dealing 1 arcane is just like a thing Runeblades do. Like, it's usually just a point of arcane.
But I like the fact that you have to do it in a D-react and you can't instant speed it. It's the fact that it's an instant speed deal 1 arcane. That's not very Runebladey.
Yeah, it is.
Aside from they got their new thing.
I was like, of course it is. You've even got their Sigil of Suffering, which is just on block, deal 1 arcane.
Right, that's a D-react though. That's what I'm saying. Like, a D-react, it's on that you deal it. So like, that's where I feel like it shines. And honestly, the Sigil doesn't bother me because it doesn't block anything. The Sigil of Voltaris, it doesn't block anything.
But what are you blocking anyway? What are you blocking anyway?
With Briar, Burn Up Shock is a 4 block if you want it to be.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Of
like,
course it
once
is.
again,
Like,
it's a 4 block, it's an instant speed on your opponent's turn, and it's 5 if you play it. Like,
yeah,
all
but
of the things.
it's not. It's also not a 4 block if you're playing it in Aurora.
No, exactly. That's the problem.
So that's kind of
That's
the
what I'm saying. Like, that's why I feel like Arcane Seeds is the balance, because for the hero that it's made for is crazy.
yeah,
For the other ones, other rune blades that it can fit in, it's on right.
which
And I
is
feel like if
so
Burn Up
so
Shock was crazy in Aurora, then it would be fine, as opposed to, like, if it was like, if you started your turn with a embodiment of lightning, this gets a bonus. Cool. That's what Aurora wants to do.
right.
So
Yeah,
if it did something like that, it's been because then with Briar, like, she has to work to try to end her turn with an embodiment. With Aurora, it's like, cool, I just end my turn, I make an
I
embodiment.
mean,
So, like, if it
I
was
don't
something
think.
like that, it would be fine.
Yeah, I don't think Briar gives a shit about whether or not she gets an embodiment or not. Like,
No, she doesn't. But
it's just like, cool, okay, yeah, I'll send the snatch, pump, send snatch for 10,
yeah,
go again. Like, sure, that's just a regular thing we get to do in Runeblade these days. Like, half your opponent's life on hit, draw a card, on hit, go, or also go again.
yeah,
Also follow it up with another big, like, 7 power scar for some reason. Like, I think we just need to realize, bar none, that Runeblade is a busted class. It is
yes,
incredibly powerful.
and
But
that,
I again, I'll say, I do think that we could see Burn Up Shot get banned. I wouldn't be surprised if we get it banned, if it is get banned, because it is one of those things where it's a sins of the father situation, right? Briar's utilizing it to the point where it's super good. Unfortunately, it's going to hit Aurora in that same vein. Aurora, though, on the other hand, like, already is just like not the favored one, but there's still ways for you to do some cheeky stuff in Aurora, but you're probably not. You're still not Briar, right? So really, the issue is are we going to go through this PQ season, see it banned, and then when bans happen in June for heroes, we see Briar gone? Is Burn Up Shock going to come back? Because I think we all know that Briar is definitely more than likely going to get hit with the ban hammer from the community, just because it's a majority of the field. Aurora can take her place and still be fairly more on rate, at least as far as the a Runeblade can be. But the issue we have into next season is that Chain's going to be back. So
Chain is going to be back.
Wait, so what are the devs going to do to ban a card for Chain? Because Chain got a whole bunch of new stuff in the new set. Chain, if nothing happens, right? Which Brian Gottlieb had mentioned in a Twitter post that they're giving us some clarification in regards to how this community benching system works. That Chain will be back for the next season, but also will be following bans.
Yes.
So
I think, and then honestly, like, I look at that and go, like, they're gonna hit Vincent. In my mind, it's fine. Like, sure, you just basically, they're gonna hit Chain hard. You ban him again. He's out for 2 seasons. They bring back the stuff for Vincent. Like, I feel like that's okay. I at first I was like, they're gonna just decimate Vincent. I just don't think Vincent is ever gonna, like, let's face it, I don't think Vincent is ever gonna really get banned. So I think she'll kind of come in and out based off of, is Chain out this season?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really what it is. I mean, Vincent did pretty well in the calling, for what it's worth, for her just being the Shadow Runeblade and having the ability to do stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's it's hard, because I'd imagine a lot of the pushback of big bans like this is, oh, well, I want to play my favorite hero that I played 4 years ago, and that's what I want to play. That's the whole reason I'm playing this, is so I can relive that joy of, creating a soul shackle and getting go again on my next Runeblade action. Sure, right? If that's like the only reason you're playing Flesh and Blood today, like, go play the Living Legend format with a bunch of your buddies. Like, there's an option for you, but you cannot deny that that is one of the most egregious hero powers in the entirety of the format, and it needs to be put in check. And I think that's just the case with a lot of these heroes, right? Oldham's ability, pretty egregious. Like, being able to just say, I will block 2 forever and never lose a card, or I will say, you know what? I've decided that you don't get to use that last card in your hand. I'd much rather it have just been the ice ability. If it was just ice and it was like, cool, pitch an ice card, put the thing on top of your deck, sure, whatever, right? That's not the end of the world. It saves you from having to lose a card, and you don't block any damage, right? It's not a defense reaction that blocks damage. In this scenario, you take your already block 2 Earth cards and go, I'm going to put this back in my deck, and then block 2, which is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of recursion being able to do. So I think that everybody who is enfranchised in the format can see, or not in the format really, in general, in Flesh and Blood in general, who's been here, we know what is a powerful hero power and what needs to be put in check. And sometimes bans don't cut it, right? Sometimes there are not enough bans to be like, okay, why are you, now you have to play Terra over Oldhim because Oldhim is just like in the dirt because we already know they're not going to be doing hero specific bans. We already know we're not in the situation for that. So because of that, we have to assume that when bans happen, they're going to hit multiple heroes. And when they do you have a pivot, right? And if you do, awesome. If you don't, there are plenty of other heroes to choose from that do nearly the exact same thing. So
it's the same with, we look at like the only reason why I could see them banning Decimator is because of the fact of you can't hit enough heroes in a season to get rid of Decimator.
Right. Exactly.
Like you can't. Like that's the only reason why. And I hope they don't, just because, like I said, I think it's keeping the format. I think it keeps the format in
it's in a fine spot. And again, Kano rocks the hell out of it. If you are looking to literally, if your meta is a bunch of Decimator Great Axe Warrior, just play Kano. I promise you there's not any amount of AB in the world. Unless they draw, unless you literally try to hit them for 10, and then they go Oasis, Arcane Polarity, and that's like their hand, and somehow they were able to pay for all of that. Then okay, right, you got high rolled on defense. I don't know what to tell you. Like you got hit with the massive hit there, but that's one turn. Like you have multiple 2 for 5s and 2 for and 3 for 6s in your deck of large damage. You still have the ability to emeritus and play things on your opponent's turn. So you just need to be coordinating
on
that.
top of the fact that at the end of the day, sometimes aggro can just run over it.
Yeah.
If you're loving playing your Briar and stuff, like sometimes you just win because there's not enough defense. We saw it in the final. There's not enough defense to stop all that. So I think it's at a fine place. It basically takes care of all the fatigue decks while also dying to the other decks, and the fatigue decks take care of the aggro decks. Like we absolutely have that triangle or square or whatever going on where it's in there. So like I feel more confident in where we're at now. I know we're about to go. I do want to. There's one last thing I kind of wanted to just kind of hit on, and I know we'll probably talk about this more. But if you look at the top 8 in both of them, we will see kind of what becomes very evident is you start seeing the gaps in the classes. And if you look at the gaps of the classes that are doing well, as the classes that have been out the longest, right? They have the most base. They have the best base of the classes. Whereas if we look at other classes that didn't make it in, such as Assassin, right? Their power levels and their Majestics, their power levels not in their lower tier stuff. And so we absolutely see, Rune Blades have always had some of the best base. Guardians have always had some of the best space. Warrior, the only reason why it works is because of Decimator, but the cards that they have in there are cards that have been around for forever. Except
Sharpened Steel, Steelblade Shunt, those are WTR cards. Like
WTR, well, it's Steelblade is crew, but
Steelblade's crew? Are you sure?
Pretty sure. I think
I'm pretty sure it's WTR, but
let's see here.
Now we have to look.
I know.
I make it my point to know a lot about.
That is WTR. Okay. You're right. What did I grab that was from Crew for that deck? There was like something
Dauntless, probably.
Probably. There was something in there that was like, this is Crew. Okay. But so we look at the classes that are doing well. Wizard, right? Wizard. A lot of those, actually, some of those cards are newer. They came out of the Arga 2.
Rosetta. Yeah.
Rosetta, thank you. It's like, which one is it? They came out of Rosetta because they got, Wizards were waiting for cards for a while, and they finally got them in Rosetta. But like, these are classes that have been in there from year one. they're getting a lot of cards. Fi came in year three-ish. I think it was year three.
Yeah.
But he always has had a good base kit.
Mm-hmm.
He just has. The reason why he doesn't do as well or hasn't done as well traditionally is after he won the world championship. His base always carried him, and he didn't get enough majestic level stuff to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
But his base has always carried him. He's always had a really solid base in his commons or rares.
Right.
So I just, we look at this and go like, okay, all of this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The base, these are classes that have always had a solid base that have been in there from the beginning. There's nothing, anything crazy going on here. This is what we expected. What I do want to see kind of moving forward is I would like to see some of those bases fleshed out. And I know it's going to be hard because they are draft sets. Like this was the time to give those classes the bases that they need, and quite frankly, I think they kind of failed at the classes that needed a better base. Just looking at Assassin, for instance. Sure, we got some really good contract cards, and those contract cards are fantastic. We just need more of that, and I don't think that you're going to get more of that unless they start utilizing the expansion slot. And if they don't start utilizing the expansion slot for that, I think those classes will get left behind, and they're going to have to come up with a way to feed those classes new cards.
I mean, that's the thing, though, right? And the unfortunate part about all of it, even just getting to like the weeds of it, is that if you give those classes new cards, right? They don't just affect Sage. They also affect Classic Constructed. And you can't add a power card for Sage. Like, for instance, right? Florian LLing in CC was a perfect time. Because if Florian had Chorus of Rotwood, are you serious? Like, that's insane. And so we see that as an evolution. Like, sure, some heroes have LL'd. Those heroes get to utilize some of these new cards, and it's like, okay, cool, right? It's not going to affect the card pool for Classic Constructed. But if you gave Huntsman a card that was like, on hit make 12 silver, like, sure.
Right. Be like, the Huntsman cards that they actually came out on this set, I think were the perfect level of here's a couple things to maybe they use in CC, maybe they don't. Assassin, I think, is probably the easiest one to add cards to simply because the majestic levels are so good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any rare that they could come out with that is going to compete for majestic level slot. However, there is a lot of rares they could come out with that are going to be better than the cards that we have in there that we're just going to start putting in there and running them to up that level of Sage. And so I think there is an easy way, do it super rare level, quote unquote, of like, hey, this is a little bit better than our traditional rares. The thing is, Assassin 2, I think, is especially hard to balance and limited because they are so tricky. So they have to be lower power and limited. That's why they have really powerful majestics. And so that's why I think you could, especially that class is a very easy class to feed cards into without touching CC because their majestic power level's just so high. It's not going to replace.
But you also need that's the thing, right? If we're considering that in order for assassins to be viable in a format, they need majestic level power. If they make majestic level power as a rare, it might not replace the Majestics.
Super rare level power.
Okay, but even still, you can't play super rares in Sage. So, why?
No, I know. You just put it in. You put it in a rare slot. That's a super rare level power.
And that's still Majestics. Those are still Majestics. Super rares are still Majestics to me.
Yes and no. Because if you look at I think Super Slam was a good showcase of this. Those super rares are not majestic level.
Yeah, sure,
but they are better than rares.
I don't know. Are they? Have you seen some of those? They're kind of bad.
Yeah, that's true. Some of them are bad.
Some of them are pretty bad. But regardless, I think
there needs to be a way to feed in these cards unless they're going to take up, which I could see. Sage is so popular now. I don't think anybody would be mad to have Sage level cards come in there. And if you're really worried about them messing up CC, give me a goddamn mentor.
Yeah, they'd have to give something if it's going to be specific towards Sage, right? Even if it's if they're able to do the thing where they can say that it's got Sage on the bottom right and you can only use it
I
in
don't think they're ever
Sage,
gonna
right?
do that.
But they're never going to do
But
that,
that's what I
right?
said. Like, give me a mentor. Like the latest Arachne mentor. That would be fantastic. Give me that.
That still
Give me
wouldn't
that
be
in Sage.
enough. Still wouldn't be enough.
It wouldn't,
Still
but
wouldn't be enough.
it's a four
hero,
block.
that hero got nothing. I mean, it's excessive blood loss and Graven equipment. They got an outlet for their silver that they'll never be able to make because they'll never be able to get over their opponent's defenses because everybody's running 0 for 4 blocks. Like, it's not like you sure play Shred, right? Okay, cool. I can play 6 copies of Shred in my deck. If my opponent says no blocks, okay,
What am I gonna do?
I have this in my hand, I guess. Like, sure. There's no outlet. Like, there are things that are missing from the overall. This is somebody who plays a lot of Huntsman. It is not. It is support, right? And I'm thankful for support, right? Marlon got a new thing. Gravy Bones got a whole bunch of stuff. Like, support. But that's what I mean. Is like, it's not so much that we got things like people. I think oftentimes people are looking for like the most busted cards you could possibly see. And to your point, right, is like, okay, a lot of the older heroes have a good base, and then a lot of the newer ones didn't really get a whole lot going on. But like Reviled Brute got kind of insane. Like, that's like, those were crazy cards, legitimately like insane power level cards.
Give that to me to Assassin.
But to see, like, that's the thing. It's like, I would love that to be the case too. But I don't know I don't know. I'm not a designer. I don't know anything about these things.
I know.
It is.
So my point is just the fact that I think this was fine. We got some new tools and stuff. There's heroes that need and Reviled heroes got good, but they also have a decent base.
Yeah.
Like, right? Because they're sure, you don't play Lyath the same that you do any other Guardian, but you still get some Guardian stuff that can be crazy.
Yeah.
In there that he can utilize, or nimbleism's crazy in him, and things like that have already been there. Like, he's in a design space that has been very designed. They just kind of came in, right? Like, they have designed the heck out of all of our 0 pumps because they honestly, a lot of them were designed for, let's be real, Rune Blades.
Right.
So like, he just comes and be like, hey, I'm not a Rune Blade, but I still love these, right? So my point is, I want them to figure out a way to feed us more cards that aren't necessarily blowing up limited, right? And if they're not going to blow up limited, I don't think those classes are going to get the cards that they need. Therefore, we need to be utilizing something in there. And if they don't utilize the expansion slot, I think we're not going to see enough change to make classes viable. Even in a Guardian heavy range, I still don't think New's good enough. She's close, but I don't think she can hold her own against a Guardian heavy meta because Guardians have so much they can do.
I think we know full well that, I mean, I think both of us have done enough testing to kind of see that Web of Deceit is just kind of the best. Like, and it's the best because they get to utilize the powerful attack reactions that were in Hunted that allow them to go a little bit wider and utilize their weapons to provide that kind of disruption to their opponent. You can still play things like Shred and so on and so forth if you're trying to get over your opponent's defenses, because at the end of the day, it's a 20 life format, right? If you're just killing them, I mean, it's just another aggro deck that has the opportunity to disrupt sometimes. So I think
once again, it hits the spot of block slot beats it because, hey, you want to pump that up? Cool. I'll just,
cool. Staunch response. All right, whatever.
And 2, they just don't deal enough damage to race aggro, and aggro goes, oh, 1 or 2 times a game that I lose a card. Cool. I don't care. I'm still sending 12 at you.
Yeah.
You sent 4 at me. Deal with it.
Yep. I think and at the end of the day, it's going to be, there's a lot of intricacies, but you also can't build a deck to be good into everything, right?
No,
which is
and that's fine.
Really, that's the thing that I think a lot of people are getting stuck up on when they're building decks is like, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna play this hero because I like this play style, but I need to know how to beat combo, aggro, and control all at the same time. And it's just like, sometimes you have to realize that, like, you're gonna get paired into something and you're just gonna lose. Like, you're just gonna lose. and it's
Yeah.
fine. There's a bunch of heroes available, and maybe those polarizing matchups wane as the time goes on, as we see new bans and we see heroes leave the format to be benched for multiple seasons. We're going to see this evolve. I think that the Silver Age we're looking at now is not going to be anywhere near like the Silver Age we're going to see in like 2 years.
Or even just in a year.
Yeah, like there's going to be gaps in which your hero pool is going to be less. Well, maybe not less, but it's going to be not the same as what we're dealing with right now. And
100%.
I think that's going to help kind of push the narrative of like, okay, cool, we're in a better spot now as the game has grown. Little growing pains at the beginning because everybody was just playing kind of like one of 4 decks. But now, as new things flourish, we'll see new heroes enter the meta. We'll see new cards get printed. Mastery packs for multiple classes will be released, and we'll see other things that come to fruition from there. But I know, at least from my perspective, I'm very happy to see that the format is well received. I mean, we have a lot of people locally who were initially not excited about Silver Age, and some people aren't. But I think that it also just comes with like playing the games and kind of learning a bit more about the format. And if you truly do just like Classic Constructed more, totally fine, right? But I know that more people are enjoying Silver Age, and especially from an aspect of like providing it as a way to onboard new players, or even just people who are trying to play on a budget. Maybe they just maybe they just had a kid, or maybe they're buying a house, right? Just like they can play for $20 and have like a pretty good time with like a hero of their choice, and there's plenty to choose from. So that's kind of the cool thing about the weekend, is that it showed a lot about the format and the people who were excited about it, right? Still a huge calling turnout, 755 people to show up for calling. Oh my
God, that is
like
massive.
Big. And then I'm sure the showdown, I don't know what the showdown numbers were, but I'm sure it was also quite a large amount of individuals, at least probably over 300 people or something. And so
over 5.
I think that at the end of the day, it was a successful showing of Silver Age. People are excited to start brewing with it. People are seeing new things that they didn't think about initially. Sometimes brews don't happen within like 2 days. Sometimes you have to wait like a couple weeks with the new cards for people to be like, oh, I did it. I unlocked it. And it's like, now all of a sudden it's like the best deck in the format. So.
I think we're gonna see people try to crack a Cilio and things like that. And who knows, maybe there'll be a dark horse like that, because I think that there might be something there. There's definitely going to be people trying that out and all of that, especially with Kano doing well. I could see people trying to do more Arcane. And it's gonna ebb and flow, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think, number one, the stream was amazing. The production quality and everything, every single stream has been better. This production quality, I would say, was better than Hasbro's production quality. I think it's getting towards the level of Pokemon. It's not quite there, but Pokemon also spends a lot of money on there.
I mean, for what it's worth,
it's very close though.
For what it's worth, it's so very close. Good. I still think you're able to get a lot.
I'm sure their budget isn't even near Pokemon's, and they're like getting towards that level that like it's so close. At probably
every stream is super clean.
Amazing.
They're always, every bit of the production's always good. They're never, the lighting is always good. The audio always sounds good. The caster group is great. Like, I don't think that I think that as long as production continues to be this way, obviously more eyes are going to continue to pop into the thing. And big shout out to Ethan and the Savage Feats team. Like, that's huge stuff.
Like that's what I say, because I talked to him. Not like we talk all the time, but I talked to him a little bit ago and was like, you guys are getting, up there. It's keeping going, and, said something about the Pokemon stream. Is like, oh, eventually that's our goal. Right. And I think they're almost there. And so I say that as more of a compliment, and less of like, oh, it's not there. It's more of you're almost like, it is right there. That I'm sure at a quarter of the budget, if not less.
Yeah, it's going to be
so close.
I just think that the more that we're going to see from 2026, obviously season 1 is only from now until like June, right? When they do the next set drop. But that's a long time. I mean, February to June, you got 4 months of playing this format of Sage. And obviously the bans are due to happen in March. So we'll see what happens as far as any significant changes to the format in March. But I think overall it was a huge success. I think a lot of people had a lot of fun. I'm still super excited to play it. I'm super excited to build all these decks for my battle box and upgrade everything and get all my stuff from Penn and, you know, crack all that. I was I'm sure everybody's seen kind of the video now, but like I was given a gift by LSS that was a poster showing that I was a Silver Age ambassador. So
it was awesome. I saw that and I was like, oh, well deserved.
So stoked. It's so cool.
I'm just happy to come in every week and chat with you and just be a tiny part of your journey. But that is so, your A to Z series has helped so many people. So
I know.
I was so happy to see you get the recognition, because that is just so much time and effort I know you put into that. That is just amazing.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. Like it's genuinely been a wild ride, and I'm very excited to continue to just cover Silver Age in general. I mean, I think the format is, one, super easy to cover because it doesn't cost me anything at all. And two, it's what I want to do initially for the channel anyway, just like get more budget content up for people, showcase that though you can play Flesh and Blood for 10 to 20 bucks, unless you're playing Decimator Great Axe, then you can't. But it's still even like $25-$30 and you're good. Like, so it's there's,
unless you're doing Decimator,
unless you're doing Decimator and specifically Cold Foil, then you're spending $30 on your weapon alone. But there's a lot of cool things in the format. I do genuinely think that we're in a good spot for it. And I just look forward to doing more of it. So it's gonna be a good time. 100%. But that's pretty much all we got today. So thank you all for joining us live. If you were here live, you are a channel member of my channel. So thank you so much for popping on in and saying hello. If you're watching the VOD, thank you for continuing to watch. And hopefully you're enjoying these episodes of the Common Language Podcast. Let us know how you felt about the world premiere, about Sage and its initial season 1. And if there's anything you could see change, right? You know, tell me whether or not you love or hate Decimator Great Axe. I think a lot of people who watch the channel know that they love it. So it's going to be a fun one there. But just make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz. And I hope everybody continues to have fun in the Flesh and Blood. And we'll see you all in the next episode of the Common Language Podcast. Bye, everybody.